A big immigration debate is underway on Capitol Hill. Mitch McConnell is saying that you only have 1 week to do the whole thing for the Dreamers. And I'm telling you, watching this thing, the same old open border suspects are at it again. Front and center is Senator Dick Durbin. He took to the Senate floor yesterday to repeat that tedious trope that you Americans are just too lazy or unwilling to do the jobs that only illegal immigrants will do.
Go to the local meat processing plant or the chicken processing plant and watch who comes out of that plant at quitting time. Hispanics and Africans taking what are pretty tough, dirty, rough jobs because others don't want them. Not many of us say to our sons and daughters, I'm hoping the day will come when you decide to go and pick fruit for a living. Hardly ever hear that because we know it's hard, backbreaking work, and immigrants do the work.
Now, that is so offensive on so many levels. We could spend an hour debunking it and analyzing it. Just from my own personal experience, my brothers, my mother, and I did all of these jobs. We did manual labor, fruit picking, paper routes, lawn work, cutting lawns, raking lawns, restaurant work. My mother waited tables into her early 70s. And if she were alive, I think about her a lot, I think she'd probably show up at Durbin's office to throw one of her old polyester uniforms at him. She'd be so mad. I'll tell you what's really going on in this whole debate. The Democrats don't really care all that much about these illegal workers as much as they care about getting their power back. Now, what do I mean? We know a lot of middle-class voters are fed up with the Democrats, so the party has to begin to remake the electorate. But Durbin's statement ignores the fact that the inflow of all this cheap immigrant labor hurts Americans who actually will do those jobs that Durbin turns his nose up at. Here's how my radio callers reacted to his comments today.
I was in a position where I desperately needed a job, and I went around to these locations that Dick said were only Hispanics, like in the restaurants, for example, in the kitchen, and I couldn't even get my foot in the door.
I've got 38 years experience in heavy demolition, and I've got turned down for 3 jobs because I don't speak Spanish.
Now, for a fair wage, Americans will do and have done these jobs, Senator Durbin. So stop lying to us. Preserving entry-level work opportunities for Americans is important for young people, and it's also really important for those who don't have a college degree, maybe for those who don't have a special skill set developed. And I think it's really interesting to look back to see how the Democrats have shifted on the immigration issue. I remember the time when Democrats actually supported the working men and women of the country. And they even worried about flooding the nation with poor people from other countries who were going to compete with poor people already in our country who are American citizens or legal immigrants. 25 years ago, this was Dianne Feinstein.
Mexico does nothing to enforce its border. It is my view that if we are going to have a North American free trade agreement, that Mexico must do its share. Because the day when America could be the welfare system for Mexico is gone. You have to concentrate on saying the people who should be here are those who come legally at this time.
What happened to that Dianne Feinstein? That sounds like Jeff Sessions a couple of years ago when he was in the Senate. Imagine if a Republican made that comment about the welfare state today. There'd be howls from the lamestream media and from Democrats. How can you say that? That was Feinstein. Amazing. And this was Bernie Sanders 11 years ago, who spoke out and voted against George W. Bush's push for amnesty.
I think it's high time that the Senate of the United States of America began to stand up for the American worker, and I would hope that before an immigration bill is passed, that it will respect the rights of American workers, both low-wage workers and both professional workers.
Look, Sanders was right. Where is the congressional concern for the human dignity of America's low-skilled workers today? You know, they call them the working poor, middle class, lower middle class people. And people could support families on these jobs. and they could live decent lives. And look, in certain limited circumstances, in particular industries, guest workers do make sense, but it shouldn't become the norm. Certainly doesn't have to be. And I was thinking about this as well. It would be nice if just once in a blue moon, we heard someone like a Senator Durbin, or frankly anyone, speak in such emotional terms on the Senate floor about the innocent Americans who lost their jobs or their lives at the hands of illegal immigrants. Case in point, on Sunday, an illegal immigrant, Jose Duran Romero, slammed into an ambulance carrying a mother and her 3-year-old boy in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. His blood level, alcohol blood level, was double the legal limit. He injured the mother and the driver, and the little boy is dead. How many innocent lives have to be lost before the U.S. Congress focuses on the well-being of American citizens and legal immigrants rather than kowtowing to La Raza and the business lobby? We're all waiting. This is another good thing. Dick Durbin, of course, has the luxury of having a job that can't be taken by an illegal immigrant. At least not yet. Maybe he needs a little taste of his own medicine there. He can compete with illegal labor to even stay in the Senate. But whatever Congress's final deal on immigration includes, if it ends up being a deal at all, the needs of the American people, the American worker, should always be priority number one. And that's the angle.